sir, with Pontypridd. Can I take your order, please?
Speaking to you now, Ken COUGHLIN. Good to speak to you, Ken. I haven't seen you in a while. I know you had a big show just gone on the weekends, but before we talk about that, could you just tell the viewers and the people watching this interview a little bit about yourself, your involvement in boxing and what you do?
Yeah, will do. Okay, so I'm Ken COUGHLIN. I think a lot of the Welsh people will know me, remember me, etc. And what we've done, I mean, I was with Frank Warren in 1978-79 with the old National Boxing Council. Then he left for the Board of Control, and I went back with the Board of Control, etc. Blah blah blah. But over the last few years, the idea of the unlicensed semi-professional circuit was pretty murky, and I thought myself, I could do this. I know I can do it better, because I'm quite honest. I was also on the board with the WABA, but of course, back 3, maybe 4 years ago, they were said to be not fit for purpose. And I just got fed up of the politics inside of it, and the influence of IABA, who I don't feel were really for boxing in general. There was 1 or 2 people at the top. I mean, it was very. So we set this up, and we've taken a little bit of time. It's going slow, slow, slow. The main obstacle that I felt was that all these semi-professional white-collar boxing, blah, 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 were giving the sport a bad name, mainly because of the mismatches and the fact that none of them, and I mean none of them, I mean, I know you've covered some shows, but none of them have had proper insurance. Now, we at the British Semi-Professional Boxing Council and British Amateur Boxing Council have now got a policy which is either as good or better than both the Board of Control and the WABA or the English ABA, etc. So we now feel that we've got Professor Mike Graham, who is our medical officer. We've got professional referees such as Lee Murtaugh, and bit by bit we feel that we're projecting the right image that we want to project of boxing outside of the normal channels.
So you mentioned the Welsh ABA and the British Boxing Board of Control there, who you have been involved with in the past. What are the main areas that make you better than them, if you like, or what are the areas you've improved on compared to them?
Well, for one thing, we're introducing a video referee sort of system where, because there were so many children, I gotta say children, they were training their hearts out, and they go in, we'll say northeast, and it's in the north. The Eastern boxer goes up and wins 3 rounds and loses the fight. And you're destroying 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, and you're going to lose them to football, kickboxing, taekwondo, everything because of the unfairness. I'm not saying that there was anything crooked with anybody, but all I'm saying to you is it wasn't very fair. If you were boxing in a hometown, unless you had a knockout, you weren't going to win. And I just didn't think it was fair. Also, we feel that the youngsters, we're not going to pay the youngsters to box because that wouldn't be moral, really. But what I think, coming from a very poor background years ago, when you box and you get the knives and forks or a little trophy, it doesn't mean anything. These kids today, what we do at the moment, we give them expenses between £25 and £100, depending where they are on the ladder, plus the normal prize, etc. And it's a much bigger incentive because we feel at the end of the day, these kids need, we give them that something to fight for and to feel special. Does that make any sense to you? And that all the training they do is not in vain. Because I mean, there are no amateurs in the world anymore. I mean, my good friend and Billy Summers, who produced Lauren Price to win that gold medal, we said it many years ago. We promoted her on a couple of shows how good she was. But at the end of the day, when you're in the GB squad, etc., you're getting paid. You're a professional. IABA had that stupid World Series boxing, which was ruined a lot of boxers because they were fighting top class boxers week in, week out, 4 or 5 times, and by the time they got to the real pros, they were stuffed. They were finished. Does that make any sense, Kieran?
So, in effect, are you a rival organisation to the British Boxing Board of Control and the Amateur Association, or are you working alongside them? or what?
No, working alongside them only because they won't work alongside us. But like I said, because we have the insurance now, we have our own judges, etc. What I say to anybody who wants to come to us, I won't stop you boxing for somebody else. And that's the position that the WABA, if you remember back with the Ashley Brace fiasco back a couple of years ago over kickboxing, etc. And then suddenly IABA are allowing professional boxers to come back, world champions, to come back and box in the Olympics against amateurs. And it just didn't make any sense to me. And I just got frustrated, to be perfectly honest, Kieran. Totally frustrated, because I'm a boxing person, and that's my main thing. I'm not saying the others are not, but I really believe, and I want to be honest, and I want people. I mean, if we have a boxer who, because of where we are, maybe a brilliant boxer who's Olympic level, and we can't provide what he needs, then by all means go and box for the WABA or box for the ABAs, because at the end of the day, it's the progression of a boxer. But the truth is, there's not many Olympic champions out there, so we're just like an alternative. And another thing I didn't think was the fact that the championships, the way they run the championships, once a year, boxing over a weekend, this and the weekend that. So what we do, we actually provide boxers, the top 4, top 8. They have a competition for the first titles. They win the title. That amateur boxer then can get paid £100 on any club show to defend his title. If he loses, obviously he's going to lose the belt, because we don't do vests mainly, we do belts, okay? But when the year comes, there'll be another contest for somebody who will then be a mandatory challenger when he wins a final, rather than just winning a championship in a championships every year, if that makes any sense to you, Kieran.
Yeah, I think I follow it, yeah. So, sorry, what was the name of the organisation again, Ken?
Right, the British Amateur Boxing Council and the British Semi-Professional Boxing Council. And we're members of the Boxing League and the European Boxing League and the European Semi-Professional Boxing Council. So the show you mentioned earlier in the interview was for the first ever, it was history really, the first ever semi-professional European Championship held in Britain, Wales. Anyway, that was the first one. And that was with a sanction fee, with a belt from the European Boxing League, who were based in Poland and in Miami.
So what is the definition of semi-professional?
Right. Before all the viewers turn around and say anything, a semi-professional is probably, let's be truthful, 90% of the boxers in Britain, if not more. Because a professional to me is someone that has a job and doesn't do anything else. Very few boxers in the professional ranks are doing boxing as a living. They can't do it. So what we thought, the amateur scene is brilliant. We don't knock anybody. We follow the safety aspects. We've added a couple more. We're very open to anybody. I mean, even if you come on here tonight and said, oh, well, Ken, what if this did this? And I thought it was good, or we thought it was good. We look to implement things because we're open-minded. We're not sort of closed-minded. Does that make any sense to you, Kieran?
Yeah.
We take what I'm saying to you is we take on board everyone. We can't give everyone what they want because it'd be a nightmare. But what we do, we look at it and see what we can do. The thing is, we in the next 2 months, we're actually introducing we're not computerized like the ABAs, but we actually have scorecards on the internet, blah blah blah. I can't say what particular one is because we're not allowed to, but all the judges will then be all linked up at ringside with their iPads, whatever, and it'll just go straight to the referee in his ear to announce the winner, etc. We also, as I said, we have the video referee because I think there's a lot of bad decisions, whether intentional or not, but they are bad. So we actually give them a chance, and they don't have to pay £200 to actually look at the video or to say, look, you might have been wrong. Can you please check it? Because with the AVAs at the moment, as you probably aware, they pay a lot of money to get anybody to review a fight, and that's wrong. We're in the VAR system, but we're not going to stop a fight to do that. It would be after, obviously, because it would be. And if we have to change the result, then we will change the result. Because at the end of the day, we want to give every fighter a fair chance.
So how many fighters across Britain or Wales are licensed under this organisation? Or does it work like that? Or is it a one-off? licensing fee per
What,
fight?
what we do at the moment, we're getting boxes coming through. We've probably got about 120, 130 boxes at the moment. And what they do, they pay their license fee, which is only £10 for this, because then they can use and then they use the insurance, and they pay £10 every fight. So the insurance is covering them on every fight. So that's how we make our money back, because obviously we've got to pay for the insurance. I mean, this is the first year and it's going really, really well. And what we do then, if for argument's sake they want to box on Billy Blogg's bill, we can say yes, so we will say yes. However, we will ask them to take their records with, or their medical card with them, so that whoever is there on the night, because a lot of these shows are quite well run, they just haven't got insurance, then we can actually have it signed by somebody on the night, and then we can talk to the guy, the adjudicator, the next day and say, right, did this boy get stopped? How did he fight? And if he's a kickboxer, same thing. We'll ask them to sign the card. And I tried to say this at the WAB many, many years ago. We should be a universal sport now. We're not above kickboxing. We're not above taekwondo. We're just another combat sport. And I think the fairest and the safest way is if we had like a universal card.
And you mentioned the medical standards a few times there, and the insurance. I presume at all these shows, the medical provision is the same as at. Well, what are the medical provisions, Ken?
Right. We have at ringside a doctor, the same as everybody else, who is also trained in head trauma, etc. We also then have a paramedic, and where possible, but I say where possible because we go above the WABA, we have an ambulance there as well. I mean, for some small shows, amateur shows, it's not going to be financially viable. But what we also do as well is we provide referees and they get paid properly. They're not going to be paid expenses. They'll get 100, 200, 250 pounds, depending on what that show is. And same with the judges, they get paid. Because I think that if someone is earning a little bit of money out of the game, which they should be, because they give a lot of time, then they're more likely to want to give good results or do their best, rather than if they're just doing it voluntarily, because there's no callback for them, is it?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to dwell too much on this new organisation, but if there's any boxers out there who perhaps a bit disillusioned with WABA or the British Border Control, I mean, what are the main reasons for them to go to you guys or to consider going to you guys?
Well, like I said, I think that one of the main reasons is our medical standards are very good. I'm not going to say they're better. I think they are, but that's just opens a can of worms up. We're doing everything the same as what, and just little improvements. What we think of improvements here and there. But like I said, we are so open to people. If a trainer comes to me and or a coach or say, well, can we do this? Can we do that? I will listen. Not these long meetings where 3 years down the line you're waiting to get. You know, yeah. And I know you know what I'm saying there. I'm not knocking anybody, but I would just like to think that we're more open. And like we give people chances, or with a couple of nice little kids, 10-year-olds on the weekend. Standard of boxing was brilliant. Everybody, it was really, really good. You know, because we learned with that, and because they've got a professional referee in there, etc. That referee, he's well. How can I put this? I don't say he's getting paid. So if he doesn't do his job properly, he don't get the job next time. And also, what we found as well, what we're going to do, one of the main gripes when we were licensed by the amateurs, was the fact that if we put any amateur shows on, we were responsible for the doctor. All right, that's a headache in itself. We provide the doctors. They for a fee, we provide the whole thing, so that they don't have to worry about the judges. And I'm like, everything is provided. There'll be a small fee, but it's professionally done in an amateur way, if that makes sense. That's quite a good slogan, isn't it?
You might get some t-shirts made up, Ken.
But
so I mean, what's the response been, if there's been any response from WABA and the British Boxing Border Control to you guys and your fledgling organisation?
Well, nothing really, because we've been running like. I mean, I've been on shows in the past, and we've been up and running 3 or 4 or 5 years. We've done everything quiet. very quiet, quiet. I don't upset it. I mean, at the end of the day, they got their standards, we got our standards. And I'm not saying they're wrong and we're right. All I'm saying is I think it's, like I said, when I was a kid, I didn't want a trophy. If someone said to me, "You Ken, go on that £25, go buy a game down the shop," or we'd have games in them days. It was old fashioned. But do you know what I'm saying? I mean, some of these kids, they're there fighting because they haven't got anything else. So they can go down there and they say, "Oh, Mum, look what I got," whether it's a voucher from Argos, etc. Because at the end of the day, without these young children, and we do start the boxing off at 8 years of age, because again, WABA turned around and they said, "Oh, you've got to be 10. Yeah, but there's kickboxing at 5 and 6. So we've lost them. Do you understand?
Yeah, but I understand the point you're making. I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know the medical implications of young children getting hit in the head from the age of 8 or 5 or 11 or any other age, really.
5, but no, we have 8, but they're mostly skills bouts where we're going to be because we haven't done the 8-year-olds yet. But what we're probably looking to do with them, very similar to sort of your taekwondo, where they make a move more like shadow boxing and they get points without being too aggressive. So they're building this, because one thing I used to hate was you'd have a boxer maybe 10 years of age having his first fight in front of 400 drunken fans shouting, "Take his head off, mate." That is wrong.
Yeah, I've seen it many times. Yeah.
We can't stop the crowd doing that, but we will straight away step on it and we will eject people because these kids are there. It's a sport. At that age, it's a sport. It's a development. And what we're doing is we're bringing the kids through. Because years ago, you'd have a box. I won't use any names. You did some great amateur trainers who would have a tremendous prospect. Suddenly then, when you become a Welsh boxer, he'd lose him or her. Okay, which shouldn't happen. That man from 10 years to 18 has trained him for nothing. Now, with us, because we can do the amateurs, we go into the semi-pro stage, this guy can still take him forward and go on to the professionals, because there's this thing that the amateurs hate professionals, and I don't understand why. Work together. We will put a show on with 4 amateurs, 4 semi-pros, and we're also, because I'm vice chairman of BEBA in Wales, we can even put 2 professional bouts on there. So what we're doing, we're making boxing open to everybody, different fans.
Yeah,
you understand?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying in principle. Yeah. So just before we talk about your show on the weekend, if there are any people interested in contacting you or contacting your organisation, or just finding out some more information about it, where can they go?
If they go to, we're judging on, we're going on Facebook basically. If they go to the British Amateur Boxing Council or British Semi-Professional Boxing Council, we've got a web page which is going to be on launch probably within the next 14 days, which we'll just explain to everybody. But if they just come show interest, with clubs, we're looking at £99 for the insurance, because I don't feel that the club should have to pay £150. Never agree with that. And like I said, the boxers will pay £10 for the annual insurance, and they will then pay £10 for each show, because it's a good insurance policy, but someone's got to pay for it. But I don't believe that the club should have to pay £150 when that went up 100% overnight for no real reason. And that was another bugbear. All the trainers in Wales moaned about it. The difference with myself, I think, is that I've not just moaned, I've sat back and thought about it and come back stronger.
I mean, we were involved in the Welsh ABA, Ken, when they split with the federation back in whenever it was.
I wasn't then, but I think I know a lot of things behind that. I'm not going to say them on you, but I think that was the best thing they ever did, really. And looking back on that, the only reason that didn't work was because there was no internationals for Wales. Yeah. But the difference with us is we're going to be affiliated with the London Boxing Alliance. You probably heard of the English Boxing Alliance. So we can now produce. I've got my the Scottish department, because we've got a Scottish part of this running as well, and an Irish department. So therefore, we can now have amateur fights, internationals, into club contests, and I think that's the next level.
Yeah. Okay, Ken, sounds very interesting. I'm going to do a little bit of research when I finish speaking to you now. But you had a show on the weekend just gone. Do you want to tell us about the show and tell us about how it went and some of the boxers who fought on there?
Yeah, we've been planning a show for probably since the COVID, like everybody else. But and again, this is another thing that I'll say official bodies are not, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. We just been going forward to get the show going, and we were very lucky. We worked hard, but come Saturday, of course, it was all opened up. So, but we had an outdoor event, and of course, it rained, as it would. So, because our main gym and our main thing is in Eberville, Club Eberville, and we've got a big bowls green which we use as the venue. But the sun came out brilliant, and what we had there, and we're not comparing this with Vegas and things like that, but so many people from England and Scotland and Ireland came to watch the show, to watch Jared Burgess, who was the main event, and the backdrop of the valley from where we were. It was so picturesque.
Yeah, I saw some pictures online. It did look very nice.
You know, and they said, well, we've been everywhere all over the world, because like Lee Murdoch is an American referee as well. You know Lee anyway, probably. He's a Malta referee, he's a Bieber referee. I think he's now an African referee. But he said that as a backdrop, he said you couldn't beat it. You know, and he was quite. What I was impressed with myself, because I don't worry, I'm a worry well. And I was thinking, I hope these fights look good, because that sometimes is the thing with white collar boxing. They've just had 8 weeks training and they just don't know to fight, and that gives them a bad name. However, our boxers have been training, and they're quite capable. They could go into the ABAs, they could fight, they could win, they'd lose, but they wouldn't be ashamed, and they wouldn't shame themselves. They can actually box, and that was the main thing that people were taking away. Thinking, looking at even the little 10-year-olds, they say, "Well, that was great," you know, and it was quality boxing. And I'd like you to be my commentator next time.
Well, I certainly consider it, Ken.
We're just in the process today, because Jared will explain. He won the European semi-professional boxing super bantam title. He got dropped in the second, pretty heavily, and the crowd was mad. And then suddenly it was just this deathly silence. No, I was thinking, oh my God, you know what it's like. But he up, and then he was all. I said, stay down, stay down, stay down. So he listened. He took the 8 seconds. He took his ear in, got his legs together, come back, sat down, rubbed down, etc. And from then he was like a little mini dynamo, to be honest with you. And I don't mean that we're not saying he's Rocky Marciano, but if you look at some Rocky Marciano, that was exactly how he broke. by bit, he just wouldn't stop, because he had to give 5 inches away in weight, in height. But and then he just broke the guy's nose, and he had a bit of a bad cut, a little bit of a cut himself. But he basically walked him down. 5th round, he was stopped, and another thing. We're all 2-minute rounds, and European title fights over 9 rounds. So, you know, we done it halfway through the fight. The kid runs 26, 27 miles every weekend. He's in the gym.
So why 9 rounds, Ken, as opposed to 10 rounds or 12 rounds or? Well,
just because they're not real professionals. So I think to myself, why should I say do 10 3s, 12? We do 9 2s. It's 11 2s for a world title fight, 5 2s for a Welsh title fight, and 7 2s for a British title fight. So we've just changed it a little bit because we're not copying anybody. It's something we've done on our own.
Yeah. Also, and I think actually I've thought this for a while, and I don't know if I've told anyone this theory. Back in the days of 15-round fights, so obviously 15 rounds is an even number. You're less likely to get draws. When it went to 12 rounds.
The words in my mouth. I was just going to say that too. Yeah. Yeah, that's another, because and I'll just say another thing as well, because obviously with amateur boxing you can't have a draw.
Yeah.
But you allow draws, because again, I hate it when people say I've lost 6 fights out of 6 when they didn't really. So if we have draws within it, I think it's fairer.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah.
If I had stayed where I was, I couldn't have done these things, because we blocked. And I'm wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Hello, so we've on to Freed. Can I take your order, please?